Hi. Welcome back to another cooking video. This is my second cooking video. I am so excited to share with y'all this recipe. See, I've only really tried it once. Like, I've made it once with Tanner. Again, sous chef. Tanner's a head chef. I'm sous chef, of course. It turned out great. I loved it. Tanner loved it. So I figured I would just share it with you guys today. It is another plant-based one, but again, not one that, requires, fake cheese or fake meat or anything like that. It's just a very simple, easy recipe. And I hate to break it to you guys, but it is not a one-pot recipe. I'm so sorry. And it does, in the recipe, require a food processor. And I know that's not something that everybody and their mothers have. Food processors are kind of expensive from what I know. So I'm really sorry, but I'm sure just a regular blender would work perfectly fine, especially one where you can kind of like go beep beep boop, you know what I mean? Like adjust the speed or the pulse or whatever. This is going to be a pesto. Again, this is from my trusty book of veganish cookbook, but it is called pasta with white beans. Oh, pasta and white beans with creamy pesto sauce. Pasta and white beans with creamy pesto sauce. I feel like I said pesto like 4 times. I think I'm going crazy. It's super good. Like, trust and believe, I saw this picture and I was like, I don't know about that pasta. Luckily, it says you can just use your favorite kind of pasta. So I'm just going to be using the shells. I love the shells. I'm gonna have to show you guys how my family makes this, like, like Mexican rice, but like rice or whatever. You can do that, but like with pasta, and it is so good. My family has made it for so long, and it's just a staple in our lives. Honestly, supreme comfort food in my life. So, and we use these shells, so I was like, you know what? We're gonna go with these. The only problem is that the recipe calls for 8 ounces, and this is 16 ounces, so I'm gonna have to do a little bit of a guessing game on this one, which if you watch my last cooking video, I am no stranger to, so that is fine. But we're gonna go ahead and fill this up with water and get that ready to be boiled so that we can cook the pasta while I show you everything else that you need for this recipe. First, in regards to the water pasta measurement type of thing, so like I said, the recipe does call for 8 ounces of pasta, and this is 16. So if you're trying to like think about it in terms of like measurement from pasta to water, I don't really look at it that way. I kind of just, whenever something requires, like pasta or whatever, whenever it requires like, boiling water or whatever, I just put how much water, because it doesn't matter, you just pour the water out. You just need enough water to cover everything to make sure that it cooks all the pasta. So I don't really measure out the water, and I don't think you should either. My little tip of the day, I don't really think it matters, but if that kind of comes back to bite me in the little booty hole later, you can totally blame me. I understand. But anyways, yeah, so for this recipe, not a lot of ingredients, but still really tasty. So first, you're gonna need your favorite kind of pasta, like I already explained. Nutritional yeast. That's kind of like a staple in like plant-based diets. Nutritional yeast, it kind of, this is like normal yeast, but it kind of helps with like a cheesy taste, but like it's not fake cheese or anything. I don't know. Olive oil. I mean, you guys already know how I feel about oil. I feel like it's in every single recipe. And if I ever, go about in my YouTube career continuing these cooking videos and there's ever a recipe where there's no oil, you guys can totally call me out on it, because I highly doubt that that day will come, because oil is in literally everything. So then you're gonna need some spinach, some baby spinach. Obviously, you're not gonna use this whole thing. That'd be crazy, right? Garlic. In the recipe it says garlic cloves, but why would you buy that when you can just buy already pre-chopped garlic? So yeah, you're gonna need chopped garlic. Just buy this. But if you really want to get fancy with it and get like fresh garlic, I'm not gonna stop you. Great northern beans. In the recipe, it calls them cannellini beans. But me and Tanner looked it up and we're like, what the heck is a cannellini? And it turns out it's just great northern beans, white beans like this. You just need 1 can of that. Cherry tomatoes, but this is really optional. It's kind of what you put at the end of the recipe, like a garnish, as they do say, you know? You just put it in towards the end. It's not like in the actual recipe part. Of basil. This is fresh basil from my mom's little herb garden that she has, but I mean, like, come on, isn't this so cute? Like, she has fresh basil. Like, can you tell me anything cuter than fresh basil from my garden? I don't think so. And just some salt, but again, a garnish. It's kind of just like, eh. That's pretty much everything for that. So while that water is boiling, getting ready to boil for us to disperse this, let's go ahead and get everything else ready to go. So kind of the easy part with this recipe that is really simple is basically the entire recipe is cooking the pasta and making the sauce, and that is it. Like, the sauce, you just like put everything in here and then you're good to go. So food processor, I totally understand if you don't have it, or if you do have one but you don't want to like deal with it. I totally understand. It took me way too long to figure out how to like put this together. I called Tanner and I was like, I need help, but I eventually figured it out on my own. You just kind of like slide it. Now I'm going to tell you guys the measurements that we use for this recipe, or that it says to use in that recipe, but I have to warn you guys, I'm not really gonna be focusing too hard on that, but like, it's for stuff that I'm kind of eyeballing, like the pasta boiling water, I'm kind of just eyeballing that one. The garlic cloves, it says 3 garlic cloves and then you chop them up, but I'm just gonna kind of eyeball it and just do like that being like 1 clove. How do you think we feel about that? So we're gonna combine the garlic in here. I'm gonna put a little bit more garlic just because garlic is just so yummy. It just makes everything taste better. Fight me on that. Okay, and the salt, again, do I really need to measure it? I can't even if I wanted to, because we have this kind and I don't like it. Yeah, so it says a teaspoon of salt, half a teaspoon of salt, if you're actually gonna measure it out, but I don't do that. And you're gonna get half a cup of the beans, great northern beans, because I actually don't know how to say cannellini. So we're gonna put half of the beans in there, and then the other half, it's gonna go at the end of the recipe, just kind of like as a garnish as well, but I don't really think it matters. It says drained and rinsed. I was looking in there and I was like, I should probably rinse this, right? Because it looks kind of gross. Do you guys like that I came prepared too? Like, I'm not wearing baggy clothes and I have my hair already up, my hands were already washed. I came prepared. So now that we kind of rinsed these out, drained the nastiness, whatever the heck was in there, we're gonna go ahead and put half of the can in here, which is again kind of another eyeballing thing. Okay, yeah, so right now I have that much left in the can, so I think that's about good enough for half in there. Okay, and we're going to process to a coarse paste. And don't worry, I'm going to mute this part so that you guys don't have to hear the awfulness of a blending sound, but you'll still see it. I'll still like show you guys what I'm doing, because yeah, the blending noise is actually the worst part of cooking videos. I actually hate them, and I will probably go like this, so yeah. Okay. I'm gonna stir it around a little bit because it is kind of sticking to the side, but this is kind of what we're at right now. I know that kind of looks gross. You really have to just trust these recipes and this cookbook, which is a little scary because when you're cooking, a lot of times you're seeing it halfway through and you're like, am I even doing this right? But trust me, you really just gotta trust it. Our water is boiling. I'm gonna go ahead and pour the pasta in there, and I'm gonna come back and kind of fix this again. I just poured half of the pasta in there, and I set the timer for 11 minutes. It said 10 to 12, right smack down the middle with 11. Yeah, I think this is a pretty good consistency. It's still kind of chunky, and I'm not 100% sure what the word coarse paste means, but we'll just go ahead and blend it up just a little bit more, just in case it means like really blended, you know? So we're gonna add the rest of the ingredients in there. So it calls for 2 cups, that's kind of a lot, 2 cups of packed spinach, which when it means by that, I think it just really means like when you get your spinach, you kind of just like press it into like your measuring cup, you know what I mean? That's what I'm hoping it means, because that's what I'm doing. For 1 cup of basil. Basil smells so good. 3 tablespoons of olive oil. Now, I know I said in my last video that I don't really like measure out oil and stuff, but considering this isn't just foundation so that the oil helps the vegetables or whatever you're cooking don't stick, I'm gonna actually measure it out. So yeah, 3 tablespoons of your olive oil, or whatever oil you use. I'm sure whatever oil you choose is fine. And then 2 tablespoons of nutritional yeast. And then once again, you're just gonna process until smooth. Yes, until smooth. I'm gonna help her out a little bit. So you can see on the side, it's kind of sticking. Oh, that's smooth, all right. Forgot a spinach leaf. It looks so pretty. That is what she looks like. It looks so pretty. Now the last ingredient you need for this pesto thing, you're gonna be like, pardon? Huh? But again, you must trust me because it really is necessary, because as I just showed you, this pesto is really thick. And pesto ain't usually that thick. The last thing we're gonna need to make sure it's good consistency, it's going to be a 1/4 cup of that pasta water when it's done. I have about 4 minutes left for the pasta to be finished cooking. And once you do that, you're gonna get a 1/4 cup of that water and pour it in there and then mix it again. I know, kind of weird. I've never heard of a recipe needing something like that, but me and Tanner looked at each other and we just said, okay, let's give it a shot. And it ended up working out superb, splendidly. Really quick, while that's cooking, I want to tell you guys about this because it is so good. If you are like me and you have been looking for a plant-based ravioli thing, first of all, I really want to try to do a video where I make my own, ravioli. But every recipe that I looked up, you have to make like the actual pasta ravioli thing by hand. And it seems like really difficult. Like, I'm gonna be honest, it seems really difficult because you have to make your own pasta. Like, what the heck? So maybe when I have like a lot of time on my hands, I'll do that. But if you just want some quick, easy ravioli, I highly recommend this. It is so good. I've actually never tried the spinach one. This one that I'm holding in front of your face that I'm telling you to try. Yeah, I've never tried it, but I have tried the mushroom kind of ravioli flavor brand. I don't know. I have tried the mushroom ravioli of this, and it is so good. It has like the perfect, like, packed consistency that kind of tastes and looks like meat, but it's mushroom, and it's so freaking good. So I got this because I've never tried the spinach one, and yeah, I'm hoping that it's really good, and it's so easy to make. And if I don't feel like cooking anything, highly recommend. Not sponsored, although I would love a sponsor, obviously. This is just about done, so I'm gonna go ahead and get that ready to go. I thought I needed this, but I guess I don't. Well, no. Okay, so that is the 4th cup of the pasta water. So let's go ahead and just blend this up one last time. See, now it's kind of like the pesto consistency, although it did get kind of everywhere. Okay, so yeah, this is what our consistency looks like now. So I'm gonna go ahead and drain the pasta. I just drained the pasta and I just put it back in the pot. So now we're going to pour this in there. I was kind of afraid I wouldn't figure out how to take that off. Yeah, so now we're gonna pour this pesto in there. Which I may have put too much pasta in there because I kind of put a little bit more than half. But I did lose a couple soldiers when I was draining it right now, so hopefully not. Ooh, I just tasted a little bit. Oh yeah. Oh, this is perfect. And you know what? Those great northern beans, like, who would have thunk, you know what I mean? I've never thought about making pesto with bean paste. You can't even taste the beans in the pesto, but I think adding the beans, like half the cans afterwards, really adds that extra little like zhuzh that you need to have like a little bit of an extra texture in there. This is our finished final creation. It looks so yummy, so good. All right, so let's go ahead and try it out. I'm always so impressed by like how the beans can be such a good base and foundation for this freaking pasta dish, for this pesto. And I love tomatoes, so just with that little bit of that flavor and that juiciness from the tomatoes just really just adds to it. But of course, the tomatoes are optional, and so are the rest of the beans to, you know, the rest of the dish. And it said also if you want, you can add some basil leaves to the end of this, you know, just like by itself. But I feel like just on its own, just like with the tomatoes and the beans. Well, that's just good right there. And it tastes expensive. You know what I mean? It tastes luxurious, which is what I'm going for here. I want to thank you guys again for coming along with me on this journey on figuring out how to work that freaking food processor. That food processor was honestly kind of difficult to figure out how to put it together. Yeah, I just want to thank you guys for joining me, for being here, for supporting the channel, giving it thumbs up, comments. Let me know if you tried this one out, because it tastes so good. Like, so good. Like, you know when you just like taste a dish and you just like can't stop eating it, or you like try something you just can't stop eating it because it's so good? That rarely happens to me, and that's happening to me right now with this. So that's when you know it's good, you know what I mean? If I say so. So again, thank you for being here, and as always, thanks for watching.